Welcome to the Color of Influence podcast, where you will hear conversations from influential people of color from around the world, from social media, and right here in your communities. These behind the scenes conversations will motivate you, inspire you, and encourage you. I am your host, Aisha Morgan, and let's meet today's guest. On this week's episode, I get to sit down with Krystal Hodge. I met Krystal at a 5K a couple of months ago, and she had a great product for kids that I wanted to get my hands on, but my daughter is a little bit too young to use. So you are going to hear firsthand from the owner and creator of SafetyKay, Krystal Hodge. She has an amazing YouTube channel with so many different videos that you can learn things from, and it is amazing just for our kiddos. So without further ado, here's my interview with Krystal Hodge. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I am here with a very special guest, Krystal Hodge, and we are going to be talking about her awesome product called SafetyKay. But before we get into it, Krystal, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Krystal Hodge. I am the founder and the CEO of SafetyKay LLC, and that is my business. I started in the middle of last year, and pretty much we focus on promoting safety awareness to young children, so teaching them critical safety skills, so how to be safe and still have fun at the same time.
Cool. So how did this come about?
So actually, I have been a safety professional. I'm a certified safety professional, and I've worked for 8 years in different industries, private and public sector, oil and gas, construction, etc. You can pretty much name it. And while I work with adults, I had friends that worked at elementary schools and middle schools, and they would ask me, safety and having a career in safety is so different. They don't know too many people who have that career. Can I come out and speak to the kids? So I will come out and teach the kids about what is a safety professional, but also do activities with them, talking to them about safety, having them do hazard hunts and games. And while, kids are very smart and they perform pretty well, I did see, just some areas that could have needs for improvement. And I know me growing up as a kid, safety definitely is a priority now, but growing up, you hear kids get hurt all the time, and it happens. And, a lot of times we didn't know any better. We got lucky. And so I feel like because I know, I have all this knowledge, it's kind of my responsibility to teach people how to, be safe and, help to decrease preventable incidents. So that's my primary goal.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about SafetyKay.
Okay, so SafetyKay is it's a character. It's pretty much based on me. It's a diverse character. It looks just like me. And I use SafetyKay as a way to, engage with children about safety. And so I cover everything. I've spoken in classrooms, at camps, at community events. I play games with kids, and I'm pretty much focused on things like emergency safety. So 911, fire safety. I'll talk about transportation. So bike or riding a car or walking to school, stranger danger, bullying safety, swimming, pool, anything across the board. It's general safety. So just giving them those critical skills so that they know if they ever encounter danger, how to protect themselves or prevent, an unsafe situation from happening. If you see in the United States, roughly, each year, just annually in the United States alone, there are millions of kids that are sent to the hospital for preventable incidents, right? And then there are, unfortunately, there are fatalities, and there's a couple of thousands of those that are preventable too. So I feel giving children, these tools and this knowledge, because most of the time when the incidents happen, the kids either they have a lack of knowledge in how to be safe, or sometimes it happens that the parent steps out of the room for a quick second, and it happens that there's opportunities for things to go wrong. So it's just making sure if that were to happen to a kid, if they're at school, if they're away, if they're at a friend's house, they know exactly what they need to do to protect themselves at all times.
Right. So
Yeah.
tell us about your YouTube channel.
So I do have a YouTube channel. It is SafetyKay Kid Safety Tips, and I have right now over 20 or so short animated films that go over different safety topics. So some of the ones I just named, so fire safety, 911, stranger danger, home safety, um, backpack safety, pool safety, walking, street safety. Is just a lot of videos that your kids can watch. I see as I go on my page, I see even teachers are using it also, kind of pulling it to kind of just share with the children. It's geared towards kids, I would say 4 to even 12 years old.
Okay.
And again, it's short. I know kids have short attention spans, so I try to keep it
Yeah.
underneath a certain time, and just giving them those safety tips and then kind of testing their knowledge. So
Okay. So what is something that would be in a backpack safety video?
So like backpack safety is just looking at preventing kids from, when they wear their backpacks, not being too heavy.
Okay.
Trying to prevent having back issues or how to properly carry a book bag. That's a shorter one, but just being knowledgeable of like weight
Mhm.
when it comes to a book bag and how to put it on correctly. And things can go wrong, and not to pull it or to use one, you want to use two to
Yeah.
protect your back. So
Okay.
those
Because
are
I
some
was
quick
into, I'm
tips.
like, how do you do backpack safety?
Oh yeah, no, no. It's pretty much just how to wear the backpack correctly.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is there a backpack that is better than others, like the cross strap or like the pulling one, or is it more just about the weight of the backpack?
So it's pretty much about the weight of the book bag. And of course using two just so it could be evenly distributed with the weight
Okay.
is pretty important. So and like pulling. Well, I don't see too many kids with the pulling. I know for me, I have a roller for work because I have computers or laptops I'm taking in, so ergonomically that helps. But for children, I mean, they can do pulling as long as they don't want it to be too heavy. But then again, with the pulling, I worry about slip, trip, and fall hazards. Like, they're coming down or they're rushing or who's tripping over it. So, normally the kids have the two strap book bags, so those are pretty safe.
True.
You just
Now,
don't want to carry too many books in there at
yeah,
one time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of kids don't use lockers these days. Like even,
No, they don't. They
yeah.
do not.
So they just have all of everything in their backpack.
For sure, for sure.
So when I met you at
Mhm.
the Fit Foodie League 5K,
Yes.
you did have a product. So tell us about the product that you were promoting at that event.
Yes, and thank you so much for bringing that up. So, I came out with this year a SafetyKay safety kit, and pretty much in there it has several devices.
Mhm.
So it'll have like a flashlight or like first aid kit kind stuff, and then it also has a safety light. So when the kids walk or ride their bikes, and it's like dark, either in the morning, early in the morning, at night, they put it on their book bags. They can put it on themselves. They can put it on their bike so cars can see them,
Okay.
right? So they're visible to other drivers so they can stay safe. There's also a sound safety alarm, which I find that children can use, even women. And if they're in a stranger danger situation, or if they're lost, or if they need attention, they pull out this pin and it makes a very loud attention getting noise.
Okay.
I think it's great. I honestly feel anybody could wear it. I have one when I go running because you never know,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So there's like 6, and it has like there's a safety wristband also, and some stickers. But it also in there it gives you access to animation videos that are not on YouTube, but are specific to the kit, that show the kids how to use everything in the kit and gives them
Okay.
safety tips on how to be safe. So it, yeah, pretty much covers everything, how to use the kit. So that's what comes in the kits.
And what's the age group for the kids?
So the age group for the kids, I would say 5 to 11.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 5 to 11. I know the animation when you get to a certain age. Well, I mean there are older kids still watching animations or adults, but just for like the level of the information that's presented, I would definitely say 5 and older.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you get into like the different events that you're at? Because I've seen on your Instagram, like you're at different back to school
Oh
things.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
how do you promote your products there?
so I think it's well, I'm thankful for I would say being a new business again. I started last year.
Mhm.
And I think I've just been kind of blessed, meeting people, connections. I've done a few small business programs because this is the first time I've ever, like I'm a first time entrepreneur. I
Okay.
don't come from a family of entrepreneurs, so all of this is a learning experience for me. And so doing small business programs, I've been able to connect with mentors or with people who will say, hey, reach out to this person or reach out to them, and kind of see what happens. And it just becomes like a network. And then, more people are kind of sharing around what I do. And I really appreciate it.
Right.
Because it's, I'm a new brand and I'm trying to build. So it's just been kind of word of mouth, friends, referrals, knowing the right people.
Mhm.
So I've been able to go to, a few classrooms and speak, and even go to camps this summer. And that was through a connection. I've even recently have done events with Change Happens. They had like a community health day, so I was able to come there and set up as a vendor. And also Juneteenth, I learned about it through my small business program, the Emancipation Third Ward. They have a small business program for entrepreneurs, so it's been great, honestly.
Good. So can you tell me a little bit about your small business program that you were in?
Yeah, so I did one with the EEDC, Emancipation Economic Development Council. I hope I got that. I've also done a Sure Business small business program with the University of Houston, and I did the Lift Off Houston program, which I was able to actually become a finalist, and I won for the product category. And so I was able to have a grant, so that was a great blessing. So what I did is, and I feel like if you're an entrepreneur, to definitely do a small business program, because what it did for me, and I'm glad I jumped in early, and a friend actually told me about the first one, which led me to like anyone I find,
Hmm.
but you don't have to do every business program, but I would at least do one. And it really helped me to develop a business plan and come up with strategic priorities. And for me, it's a lot of learning. It is a lot of learning, especially with the financials. That's not my background.
Right.
But it's so much. But if you want someone to guide you, you also get mentorships like through SCORE, um, by signing up to these small business programs. There's a lot of resources, a lot of free resources. So I would say do a small business program, because and it's not even about Liftoff had, yes, they had a grant. U of H also gave everyone a small monetary gift at the end, which was great and a big surprise because it was a lot of people in that program. But it's not about the money per
Mhm.
se. Yes, it's great, but what you walk away with, the connections, the mentorship, and you learn stuff about your business, you grow. I think that you can't put a price on that. And that knowledge is important, because the stuff you learn can prevent you from making mistakes. Or, I feel like I've learned so much from my mentors. They were like, well, I made this mistake for 5 or 6 years, and you're learning it in one step, like that type of stuff. So it just
Yeah.
helps you along your journey. And in those programs, there's entrepreneurs who are brand new. They're startups like me. They're experienced. Some are seasoned. Some been around 15, 20 years. There's always room to learn and to grow. So I would definitely say anybody, if you have a business, it doesn't matter if you're a product or service, innovation, to do a small business program.
And are all of those programs in the Houston area?
They are. They're all in the Houston area. You do have to be a Houston resident. That is
Okay.
a requirement. But other than that, and they're all free. They're
Yeah.
free to join. So
So for local business owners or anybody that wants to start, which one would you recommend is probably like they would get the most out of it?
wow. So there's a little bit of, okay, so this is hard because I don't want any business. I
Or
don't
you
I don't
can
want any
just
program.
talk, you can just give us a little bit of information
Okay,
about
so
each program and
what
then.
what I would say is all of the programs are great. There's something to learn about all of them. The EEDC one, I was my first one.
Okay.
And that one set the foundation for me. And I got so much one-on-one attention. I don't think any other program gave me that much one-on-one. So not only did we learn with coaches throughout the week, but then you had one-on-one sessions that you got someone who is like a coach, a career coach that sits with you. Again, this is free and talks about your business only. In the other programs, it's like for the general, they're talking to all the companies, and you have your mentors that you meet with, but the amount of it one-on-one attention, I haven't seen that anywhere else. Um, that often, that much, that frequent. It was anytime I needed help, I could sit down and it's all about me and my company.
Right.
So I
Okay.
would say the EEDC, definitely recommend that one. U of H was sure they offered a lot of resources. They were good too, especially when it came down to the financials, understanding all of that. Um, they were really good, like forecasting, and they had a lot of speakers. I would
Okay.
say they had a lot of speakers. Both offer resources when it came to like free legal aid, which was great. Um, and then for Liftoff, they had a lot of great speakers too. Liftoff had different people talking about marketing, branding, financials, across the board. And Liftoff, of course, they offer a prize.
Okay.
So, also I did the HCC pitch competition. I did end up being a finalist, even though I didn't make it to the end. But they also offer a lot of resources and in kind prizes. But that one's more. That's a harder one to get into. The other ones are not as hard to get into. HEC is a little bit more, they only accept a certain amount, and you also have to have a business plan already, where the other ones, you don't need a business plan. You get in those and
Okay.
you make a business plan. For HEC pitch competition, you already have to have your business plan ready to go. And then, so you have to have your stuff together for them. So once you do the other ones, that is a prerequisite to get into HEC. They
Got
want you already ready, and then you'll just go from there. And they also offer um, a lot of prize money. So,
Okay.
yep, it's out there. There are resources out there. So make sure that you take advantage of it. For me, again, being a new business, I've learned so much
Yeah.
from these programs. It's yeah, I'm really grateful for them because they probably saved me a lot of time, effort, and money. And again, you have mentorships. You can still reach out to the people in the programs or the leaders if you need help. So it's been good.
Okay. What was the time commitment for those programs?
Time commitment. So trying to think, at least 2 hours a week. But HEC, they were more. They were like 2 days a week for
Okay.
like 2 hours, and then the programs were like 3 months. I'm hoping I'm trying not to confuse. I'm really
Yeah.
I'm really not trying to confuse. So like probably 3 months. I think it's September to November was sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure you have time. Usually they're in the evenings because they understand people have work.
Right. Okay.
So everything will start after 6.
Got it.
Mhm.
So moving forward, like where would you like for SafetyKay to go maybe in the next year or two?
So SafetyKay is still growing, but the ultimate goal is to be a household name for
Okay.
people to, schools and in homes. SafetyKay just be there, and safety is a priority. That whatever you do in any task you do, a child's always thinking, "I can do this, but how can I be safe so I can make sure I don't get hurt or I cause someone else to get hurt?" And also, it helps to promote safe environments because, of course, if the parent is getting the products and services for their child and their child is doing it and engaging with it and it goes into the schools, then you're ultimately creating a safe environment. And
Right.
safe and healthy environments are needed for children to do well. And it's also been linked to having, good performance and also building confidence. So that's really important as you help to develop, your child. We know that people who tend to come from healthier backgrounds tend to do well, in life. So for me, I think it's yes, safety's at the core, but what it can do just goes beyond, and it leads to safer communities, you know? And if you
Right.
have safer communities, you have a safer world. So it's a win-win.
Now, for your products, is that something that you would eventually like to see in stores, or is it
Yeah.
more of like a online private type of thing?
Oh, definitely in stores. Definitely. So right now I am online, but definitely would love to be in a Target, on the shelves where it's easily accessible. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, from the products that you have now, do you have anything in mind that you would like to add to your product line, or is this kind of the
Oh
focus?
yeah, definitely ideas to add and do different types of kits.
Okay.
So it's stuff that I'm currently trying to working on coming up with right now. So I just wanted to put stuff out there, kind of test it,
Yeah.
see, but no, definitely have ideas for the future for sure.
Okay. So when you're going to these schools and you're talking, what is kind of like the focus like that you want the students to gain from when they leave from your like your talks?
Yeah, so and like when I go speak in these classes or these day camps, I will ask the leaders kind of what topic do you want me to focus on? What do you think is the most important?
Hmm.
Or I've even talked to parents, and a lot of times the emergency safety is big, like the fire,
Yeah.
911, also bullying or stranger danger. So some of the things the parents, may feel like I can't always control if I'm not around, or I want to
Right.
know they know what to do. So, for instance, I went to an elementary school here in Houston, and I spoke to a class, and a lot of it was focused on fire and like home safety. And so for me, the most important thing is having the kids like I give a lesson and then having them understand it, right? Teach it back to me so I can make sure they really got it, or participate in a demonstration one on one, because
Mhm.
that's how you help to retain it. I focus on like verbally giving instructions, showing visuals, and hands-on, because there's different types of learning styles, of course.
Right.
So for instance, if the topic for the day is we're going to do fire safety, well then we're going to talk about what do you do if there's a fire in your home. Like I start off and I kind of ask the questions to kind of see what do they know.
Hmm.
And so what I find is that either they know exactly what to do, or sometimes, there may be
Yeah.
opportunities to learn. And so I just try to tell them basic things like, okay, there's a fire, hide. Do not hide underneath your bed or in a closet, which I know the fire departments, if there's a fire, some of the first places they'll look for is there because they know kids hide there. But
Hmm.
really, we want to get out the house. You want to get out
Right.
the house and then you want to call for help, but you don't want to save anything. You want to, I'm not gonna say anybody, but I'm saying like don't pick up your phone or your toys. That's not important. You want to get out the house and then call for help. Because some of them are like, oh, we'll use a fire extinguisher. And I'm like, well, if the fire is really big and you don't know how
Right.
to use a fire extinguisher, don't worry about the fire extinguisher, get out the house. So stuff like that, or you do your
Yeah.
I do like activities saying get low and go. So, smoke's high up, you want to make sure you stay low. So stay low and get out the house. Or, you do the fire's on you, of course, the stop, drop, and roll. And so just putting in those critical skills, because a lot of times we assume that our kids or children know what to do.
Right.
Or we assume that it's never going to happen to us until it does. So you want to make sure that you have those talks with your children, and that they're prepared in case something goes wrong, because it may happen. You never know. So you have to practice, because if you don't practice, then you can't expect them to make the right decision. And we've seen with history, there have been times where things have unfortunately gone wrong, based on just a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do schools ask you to come in to talk about like active shooter or any of those types of drills, or is it more of like just a generic safety talks?
So right, so I went to classes like in the what is it, spring of last year. So
Mhm.
as of right now, no, I haven't been asked about active shooter, but someone did talk to me about it recently.
Okay.
And that, active shooter is a very touchy subject, because of having to have that conversation with your child, right?
Yeah.
Because it's it's hard. Like each person, like even you and me, you have to know what type of person you are. You have to know, are you someone who's a fighter? You know, if you're someone who is going to hide, are you someone who's going to run? And your reaction time, you literally have your brain when something happens, there's like a 20-second delay. Like you have to know how to react. So to
Hmm.
teach someone at the age of 5 how to grasp what is really happening,
Yeah.
it's a huge challenge. But you almost have to tell your child, or the classrooms literally have to train, if there is shooting, what exactly are you going to do?
Right.
How are you going to cover the doors? Where are you going to hide? What are you going to do? You know what I mean? How are you going to, there's just, there's different techniques. And I'm pretty sure a lot of schools are kind of doing that right now. And it's unfortunate that we're there, but you have to know your child. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have to know. So it's kind of reaction based, but again, practicing makes it much better. So you know exactly what to do if that time were to happen.
Now, do you think that's something that like parents should be doing at home? Like,
Yeah,
this happens in your school, this is what you should do?
it's the reality of it, unfortunately. And it's bad that we have to be there, but
Yeah.
it's like you have to have those talks because they're talking about it in school. You may not talk about it at home, but kids are talking about. Like I have nieces, and um, my sister was like, okay, when the shooting happened close to San Antonio, and she was like, okay, how am I going to tell my kids? They were already talking about it at school,
Yeah.
so you just got to be prepared for those conversations. I get the ones that are very young and really don't understand, and you want to protect them, and I get that, trust me. And I also get for them to understand what's going on. They may not be able to really get it,
Yeah.
but for the ones that are of age, yeah, the conversations, they're happening anyway.
Right.
So you just want to make sure that you're preparing them. So it's just being proactive.
Yeah.
It's just being proactive. That's just where we are.
And I just recently seen a video on Instagram, I think it was, of a mom
Oh
like
yeah.
going through with her son,
Yeah.
telling him to hide, hold his backpack
Mhm.
up. I mean, it's it is sad.
It is sad. It
That's
is. I saw that because his backpack was bulletproof, which
Batman
yeah, it was, yeah.
or
It was, yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad, but you have to think, you know,
Mm.
it's the knowledge she gave him, he'll know now, you
Right.
know? And like I said, even if you're not having it, kids talk about everything.
Yeah.
You be surprised what kids talk about in school. So just, prepare, plan, you know, that's all you can control at this point.
Now, do you recommend like families to do practices in their house, like fire drills and you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, I definitely even when I talk to the kids, I even say, even tell your mom or dad, fire drills. Yeah, most definitely. Actually, you should do one at least every 3 months.
okay,
Just because you could have changes in the house. Maybe you may move furniture around, stuff, environmental changes. So you should practice like every quarter, every 3 months. You should say if there's a fire, okay, what are you gonna do? Because if the fire's at the front door, how are you gonna get out the house?
right,
How are kids gonna know if they haven't practiced and we just assume? Or what if the fire is blocking all the windows? Is there a back door? Is there another way out?
hmm,
You have to do those scenarios so that they know exactly what to do. So it's just like when you have work and you have like a fire drill at work, or I mean we do it at work, right?
right,
So home, and you think about how many home fires there are opposed to work fires, and we do it a lot at work.
right.
So you definitely want to do it at home.
Now, how do you recommend they do practice as far as like walking home from school or any of the other like safety videos that you have? Like, how do you practice that stuff where they really don't have that sense of danger?
Yeah, they don't have it. Yeah, so it's tips. It's just like, so with like street safety. So that's like one video I have, and I'll give like basic tips of like watching for signal lights, like the stop sign, watching for cars, watching for pedestrians,
Mhm.
etc. Not talking to strangers, while they may not practice that, you know, as often, parents or teachers can still ask those questions, or just kids having that knowledge of like what to do.
Right.
Um, if you know, if you're walking. So if your mom says, look both ways, then hopefully that tip, sinks in, and before you cross the street, look both ways. Um, and just, asking questions, you never know. So like I did um a community kid event a week ago. And so I was asking, we were doing like the spinner wheel, and I'm like, okay, if it lands on a question, I'm gonna ask you whatever it is in safety. And one of the questions was about what happens if you get lost in a store. And so, and I'm like, say you don't have cell phones, because most of the kids were like, well, okay, say you don't have a cell phone. Okay, I
Yeah.
get it. And you can't find your parent. What do you do? And some kids knew exactly what to do. And some kids didn't. And the parent was like, how did you not know? But it's almost like if they're not told, or if you don't
Right.
practice, that's when you cannot assume. You cannot
Yeah.
assume that a kid that is lost is going to go look for a cashier to ask help versus a stranger, right? Because you shouldn't just ask anybody for help. Or sometimes I tell the kid, well, wherever you got lost, stay there for a little bit, because your parent may come back to that same location. Don't continue to walk and get lost. There's just certain things they don't know until they're
Right.
told. And it's just that simple of just sharing that. It's just sometimes just sharing that knowledge,
Yeah.
and they have it, so
See,
yeah.
it's a lot of things that we don't think about.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we assume, I get it, like it's like, you know especially because we're like, oh, it's the way we grew up, or you just
Yeah.
assume that, but sometimes when you're put in that situation, it's different.
Yeah.
And experience is the best teacher. So if you don't have it, or you don't practice, how will you kind of know?
Yeah. And every generation is different.
It
So,
is.
you
And
know,
every challenge is different. And
mhm.
see how, look at how 10 years ago we weren't, or 20 years ago we weren't dealing with as many shootings
Right.
in
Exactly.
schools, but now we have a new danger. So with times, dangers change, and what we look at as far as safety changes, but we just got to make sure that we're being as proactive, and preventing things as much as we can, especially when the knowledge is there.
Yeah. And I think what you're doing is so important. There's just a lot that we as like parents and teachers,
Yeah.
family members, we don't think about
Yeah.
explicitly teaching kids certain
Hmm.
things because we just were like, well, we knew that like when we
Yeah.
were young, but really
Yeah.
did you, or did somebody
Yeah.
constantly tell you?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then it became so ingrained that you knew it.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes that we overlook a lot of things.
Yeah. And generations are different, and how
Yeah,
they learn is different, and we were outside more playing, and
right.
they're not, you
Yeah,
know, they're not. Just dangers are different, times are different. So yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
So after our episode, where can my listeners find you and your products and your videos? I would love for everybody to go check all of those things out.
Yes. So my website is SafetyKay.com, and SafetyKay, so KAY for K.
Okay.
And then on Instagram, I'm at SafetyKay, and on LinkedIn, you can find me, and on Facebook.
Okay.
Uh, that's how you can reach me, and feel free. My information, contact, email, and phone information is on my website. So if you would like me to come speak to your class, or at your community event to your kids, I'm available. And again, check out my YouTube channel at Safety K Tips for Children, for Kids. And again, you have access to videos that you can show your children in 3 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
tips that can possibly save their lives.
Yeah, which is extremely important. And the videos are very straightforward,
Yes,
but enjoyable at the same time for kids.
yes,
So
yes.
well, Krystal, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to sit and talk with me. I think this topic is so important. Like I said, there's a lot of things that we just don't think about
Mhm.
until honestly, like I looked at your videos because there were some of them I was like, oh, I would never think
Yeah,
to like talk about that. But
yeah.
again, different time, different
Hmm.
generation, and
Yep,
they have so much access to so much more than
they
we
do. Mhm.
that a lot of even elementary kids think that they are more knowledgeable than they are. And,
Yes.
they don't have fear. They
Yeah.
really are not afraid of people and things because they're
Mhm.
exposed to so much. So,
It's true. That's true. And that brings up when you said that, I'm like, yeah, I even have a video on YouTube about internet safety because that's
yeah,
another thing. That's a new danger.
yep,
There it's so much easier now for these strangers to get talk to these kids because kids are on the internet way more now than
yeah.
ever.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? The internet is raising kids. It is what it is. And technology, like they have to be on the computer. It's just a
Right.
part of how we are now in society. So you just want to make sure they're again protecting themselves, not giving out important information, that they
Yeah.
just kind of know how to navigate
Yeah,
things on there.
absolutely. Yeah. So there's a video for everybody, trust me.
There's a video for everybody.
For
There is.
every situation. So I
Yes.
really appreciate you just thinking about that. Like I said, there's a lot that sometimes we just feel like school's going to teach them things,
Yeah.
and we don't do the same at home. So
Mhm.
I think that, your videos and your products even show the importance of us as parents taking the time to reiterate things that they learn in school. So
Yes. Well,
I
thank you.
really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking out the time this afternoon.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And that's a wrap on another amazing episode. I know that you were just as inspired as I was after listening to that conversation. And to let us know how we're doing, don't forget to leave us a review, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also follow us on all social media platforms, from YouTube to Facebook, at The Color of Influence, and on Instagram, the_color_of_influence. You can check out all of our episodes and additional content on our website, thecolorofinfluence.com, and that's an N only for influence. And don't forget to share the podcast with someone you know, and have them share the podcast with someone they know. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, peace out.